think it's the same problem.
Did you have something must have changed with our.
It should be the exact same folder, but there's, well.
Did I do something?
No, I think our filter does not recognize this device all of a sudden, so I don't know if we have an update to our security filter.
Okay.
And
I see this one.
looks like now it's gonna let you log in.
Okay.
So.
And this one, right?
Why is that? Would happen with everybody, maybe.
I know, why is it? I just thought, oh, maybe I'm updating it yet. Let me see it right there. Yeah, he's got 24. I need to refresh it. Oh, wait there.
I just resent it to you, so.
Now we're good.
Yeah, I looked at last year's board agenda and I started getting mad. It's like, we already did all this stuff.
I was like, maybe she hasn't updated it yet.
7 o'clock, if everybody's ready, I call the meeting to order. Could we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor? Very good. No patrons. Consensus items. Take a moment to read those, please.
That's all.
It didn't mark mine, didn't mark, so Tom has to fix it.
Is it not working?
Looks like her.
You just put it
Does
on.
not recognize. Bypass it.
Should you guys not get the pink slips in the mail?
Does that mean we're fired?
You can't get that lucky.
That's what I figured.
There's the only two that work, so. Go pick it up. Or it hasn't kicked us off yet.
Let's make sure that it's actually hit the internet. Tom, you want to come do this one? You may need to reset her password for her
I can.
email too.
Make sure you see your password. password in now, in somewhere.
There we go.
It's the 90%.
Make a motion to approve consensus items.
Second,
Have a motion and second to approve consensus items. All those in favor? And special education, Shelby. Nothing. Tom on government relations.
I don't have anything.
We'll move on. Mr. Flags.
Couple things here to bring just to your guys' attention. As we ended the school year and prepared for enrollment year coming up very quickly here in August, it is going to be different for our patrons or parents. The e-registration that had been part of the Power School is no longer part of the new Power School that's rollover. And to purchase a electronic version of that is really not feasible for our size of district. Shelley and Kathy there, they did a really good job, I think, for preparing and Ken to make it fairly quick for parents yet. But they're gonna have to come in. They're not gonna be able to just get online and sign a whole bunch of stuff, but basically they'll be able to go through this one page and make any changes. And as long as they're not a new student, they won't have to fill out all of each individual piece of paperwork. They're going to be able to make changes to it. We'll be able to continue with quite a bit of that, and then basically have like a consent, of all of the different forms where they used to electronically sign on an e-registration. They basically have that on one form. They would the information will be sent out in the packets here in a couple weeks. Yeah, about 2 weeks anyway. But anyway, that's going to be a little bit different for our parents from what we've done the last, I don't know, 6, 7 years, because it's just different. It's changed with Power School, and it's not like it will be like it is, and so I'm sure we'll get the questions, why can't we do this online? You are going to show up and do it in person. It's going to be pretty speedy. It won't be a long process, especially with the returning students. If they're not new to us, new students will be the ones that'll have to go through quite a few forms. Our chronic absenteeism rate, we did improve by about 4% in my building from last year, which is 18% over the last 2 years. It did, unfortunately, kind of balloon up that fourth 9 weeks. As I was watching through the school year, we was always hovering around 17% of our students were on the chronic absentee list. And I was afraid the fourth 9 weeks, it just seems like the fourth 9 weeks as our least attended quarter. Out of the 26 kids in our enrollment count, 712 that are on a chronic absenteeism, 17 of them are in our juniors and seniors. So it is older kids that it trends with. As the year goes on, they find more reasons to miss. And pushes them over the 10%. And then now I went through it kid by kid, our report there. Like I say, it's an improvement, so I don't want to take away, we still improved from last year. So I think practices are getting better, and we are getting better, but I want it down around 15% rather than 20. For example, we had a couple new students that were only in attendance for about the last 3 weeks of school. And they got sick and they missed a couple of days. Well, that was over 10%, so they're on our list. And it wasn't, it's just one of those that just, because it's flat 10%. If you miss more than 10% of the school days, whether you're enrolled for 168 days, 68 days, or 8 days, if you miss 10%, you go on that chronic absentee list. But anyway, so it is an improvement. That'll be one of those markers that shows up on our building report, our accountability report. Making progress. I don't know what we are for the district. I don't know. I don't see the numbers for grade schools, but they're typically a lot better than we are. I know. But anyway, that's the only 2 things I have for you. We'll flip the public portion of Power School back on, so parents and students can see the kids' schedules right there for August 1st. That way, when they come in, they can make class changes. High school kids can make class changes. Counselor will get things set up. We'll plan to turn that on probably that last week of July. I don't want to turn it on too soon because I don't want to bombard Mrs. Finley with questions, emails, texts, and stuff like that. Until she's back on duty. But we'll turn it.
Okay, are there any questions for Mr. Flax? Mr. Reinhardt.
Attended Model Schools Conference. Candace, Brooke, and Jason went with me. I want to thank you all for giving us that opportunity. It was another great conference, great opportunity to learn. I think the 3 ladies that went enjoyed it too and got good things out of it. Have tentatively made plans with Glenn Ledette that comes from Model School Conference to come in and work one day with all the brand new teachers to get them kind of up to speed on what we've been doing with instruction, those type of things, and then bring them back 4 more days for observation and feedback to not only just work with the teacher, but work with Tom and I and help us improve that observation and feedback piece. So working with him on 5 different days throughout the school year. Working on getting pricing for doing something in the end zone still. Have made some contacts, but don't have dollar amounts yet on what they would recommend or what it would cost to seed buffalo grass or whatever. I'm still working on that. Little concerned with custodial help again for this upcoming school year. We did get an application in today. I made some phone calls on him. I think he'll be a good hire if we can get him hired, but we'd still be a little short, especially with Gary retiring too. So I don't know. We'll kind of see how this goes, but we may need to look at bringing in somebody like we did at the end of the school year, just so we make sure things stay clean and stay on top of things and don't burn people out. So a little worried about that. And then the last thing I've got, with all the new superintendents, especially in Western Kansas, the Kelly Institute is really struggling with finding mentors. So they've asked me to be the mentor for the new superintendent in Stockton. So I'll be doing that and helping her become a superintendent. But that's all I got.
Did you have anybody closer?
No, and in fact, I think they usually just use retired superintendents and they couldn't find it. I think they ended up 5 or 6 Western Kansas superintendents that they're gonna spread out through Western Kansas to work with all the newbies out there.
Very good. Are there any comments or questions for Mr. Reinhardt? And report from the board subcommittee?
No.
No. Okay, let's go on then to 6.1 facilities improvement bond issues.
We've got the special meeting set up for next Monday, the 15th at 7 o'clock for Sid Weens and his group to come in and present their information. He has told me he's gonna have estimated dollar amounts for some of that too, so that we can have an idea of what next best steps are moving forward.
Very good. And books.
I don't have any additional changes to what we presented last month, so I'd recommend as they are presented. The only real changes were changes to how we do purchasing and those type of things with everything moving online.
Entertain a motion to approve the handbooks.
Moved. Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Review on policies.
Recommend as presented with the exception of the 4 that we took out at the beginning that deals with Title IX.
Took out for the deal with Title IX.
So when we approved the agenda, we struck GAAC, GARIA, JGEC, and JGECAA. Those were all the ones that were policy changes based off of
The lawsuits.
the lawsuit. Yeah. And with the lawsuit, those are all on hold. So I'd recommend approval of all the rest of them as presented.
I make a motion to approve policies as presented.
I'll second it.
Have a motion second to approve the policies. All those in favor, raise your hand. Moving on, new business. Got a big, long series of yearly business from 7/1 to 7/30.
I would recommend as presented, as far as affecting you guys personally. You've got 7.7 government relations, which would be Tom Frusher, 7.8 sped rep, which would be Shelby Hawkinson, 7.9 spokesperson is Russell King, 7.10 civil rights officer is Russell King, and then 7.13 the hearing officer specifically for student discipline would be Lori Peterson and Jason Pavley.
And this is going through, I said 7:30, but that's not right.
Yeah.
Is it?
7.1 through 7.30.
Okay, those are not other things that we're gonna be looking at. Yeah.
Those are the 5 that particularly had your names tied to them.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve 7.1 through 7:30.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Very good. Fee schedules.
I would recommend leaving fees at the same price that they were last year. Like we ended up transferring $40,000 into food service. We could raise meal prices, but I think we're at the high end of student meal prices for around here. $3.50 for elementary and $4 for high school. We could raise those up a little bit, but I think we're okay with where we're at. But I would recommend just leaving the fees where they were last year.
Any questions or motion?
Make a motion to approve fees and prices as they're.
Second.
Have motion second to approve the fee schedule. All those in favor? 8.2 max mill levy.
Again, I'll remind you, this is part of new legislation that we've dealt with the last handful of years. We have to present to the constituents that we are raising taxes or bringing in more revenue than we brought in the year before. Our assessed valuation information we got from Lori, our assessed valuation actually dropped $3.85 million. So capital outlay will not exceed revenue neutral. We can only bring in 8 mills. So we'll bring in less money in capital outlay by a couple $1,000s than we did last year. So we don't need to worry about that. The other one that we've got to look at is the supplemental general or the LOB. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out as Susie and I build the budget. We ended up with $45,000 in supplemental general state aid. That is something that we've never gotten before. And essentially that means that our assessed valuation combined with our student population has met a threshold where we qualify for additional state aid. Instead of taxing our population, we get money from probably Blue Valley or someplace like that because they bring in more dollars, which is kind of nice. But what it did was it put us in a situation where we ended up with about $120,000 in supplemental general state aid that we can't spend. It's above our authority, so we carried over $120,000. Now, as we build the budget for next year, what that means is we can't max out LOB and then add 120 on it. We start at the 120, you can only build up to our max authority. So it is likely that with that 120 setting in there, that we won't go above revenue neutral, because revenue neutral has nothing to do with mill levy. It has to do with the taxes that you levy for that fiscal year. So even though we'll choose, build a budget that is higher than what it was last year, what we tax the population in Ness County will probably be pretty close to what it was last year. With that said, so that we can build a budget and not have to come back and have a special meeting to change things, I would recommend that you guys be okay with us putting in the paper not to exceed 22 mills for supplemental general. More than likely to max out our authority, it's probably going to be between 20 and 20.5 mills, which is about a mill more than it was last year. And we may find out that we don't even have quite that much authority, and we may be exactly at the same mill rate that we were last year to get our whole authority. So that kind of gives you an idea. Like I said, it's kind of an interesting situation between the supplemental general state aid that we got, and I think we ended up bringing in more tax dollars than what we had thought, because when we build the budget, we always build in 5-6% people that don't pay their property taxes. And more people paid their property taxes than normally do. So we ended up with some extra funds, which is a nice thing. We have built the budget back up to where it was several years ago when we were looking at making some cuts and stuff. So,
One, I thought our our max on the LOB was the same, it was 20, like the 20 standard that they
No,
take, that's not
It
it.
is based off of percent, so, we have the authority to go up to 33% of our general fund for LOB. To go to the full 33%, you have to have a protest proposition. You can go up to the state average, which right now is about 32% with, you have that authority as the board. And that's kind of what Susan and I will start building a budget with. We'll bring you back some ideas of what that looks like next month. We won't actually approve the budget until September. But that'll kind of give you an idea there. I think we were about 31.5% last year is what we used.
Okay, so you're asking for, this isn't set in stone till August or whatever, but for public consumption that our max mill levy be 22 mil.
Yes.
So are you thinking the dollar amount that'll affect the taxpayer could be a very small amount?
I think so.
And when you say a very small amount, what's sort of that number?
Well, if we look at, say, a full mill more than what we did last year, it would be,
You're saying that was revenue neutral just about,
Yeah,
weren't you?
yeah.
Okay.
well, and it'll be close to our max too. You know, an additional mill, somewhere between where we were last year and where our max is and what revenue neutral is going to be close to, is somewhere between what the mill rate for supplemental general was this year is could be somewhere between that and a mill more. So a mill is $100 for a $100,000 house over the course of the year.
And this isn't
So-
saying we're going to go up to that 22. If we tell the clerk that we're not going to exceed revenue neutral, then we're stuck if we have to build a bigger budget.
As we look at that, if it comes in that there's a bigger discrepancy there than what Susan and I see, and talking to the State Department to make sure we understood that situation right. What that puts us in a position, we'll probably have to have a special meeting come back for you to say, no, let's do this, and it has to be done by July 20th. But again, we've done this the last 4 years now, and we've never hit that max.
So you're looking for a motion to set the revenue neutral rate at 22,
To not exceed 22
not
mils
exceed 22.
for the supplemental general.
And last year we were at what, about 21?
19.242.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, right.
We'll decide the actual mill levy rate in the August meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll truly approve it at the September meeting.
Okay.
We'll bring you the full budget in August for you guys to look at in September. We'll take your recommendations in August and September. We'll bring you the full budget to approve.
There'll be a motion to approve the maximum mill levy for revenue neutral rate at 22 mils.
So move.
Motion in a second. All those in favor? Okay. Personnel,
10.
so move to have an executive session on personnel for 10 minutes. All those in favor?
It looks like a lot, but
Right.
it's quick.
We'll do that next month.
Okay.
I don't think there's a big hurry.
Okay, on 8.4 on resignations, would there be a motion to accept the resignations and to rescind the contract for high school basketball?
I would so move.
Second.
Motion second, all those in favor? On hiring, got 3 there, oh, 2, 1, whoa, 2,
Two
and
supplemental.
supplements.
Supplementals.
Let's get the first 2 there. Travis Tamman is hired for what?
It was be the replacement for Mark.
Mark, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, where's he coming from?
Russell? Yeah.
Kansas originally.
Okay.
Okay. As far as 8.4 D and E, would there be a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? And we got a list on supplement. Where's mine? We got a list
Do we
on
actually have any new
supplementals
Items
to
in
approve.
blue.
Okay, so it'd just be, the ones that you have not approved would be Travis Tamman for the weightlifting during the school year, so the 0 hour. Candy Muse for freshman class sponsor, Tony Finley for senior class sponsor, Mara Hamel for high school and junior high concession stand sponsor. The detention monitors, Jennifer Foose, Emily Keener, and Rhonda Snodgrass, and then spelling bee sponsor, Tanya Finley. Those are the
Isn't
ones that
it
you're
the
approving.
top one, Lynn Burnbeck, isn't that one that we have to do?
Yeah.
So, and Lynn Burnett back
Okay.
for athletic director. Yes, sorry, thank you. So those are the ones you're approving.
Okay, move to approve supplementals as listed there. Second.
Motion is second, approve those supplementals. All those in favor? Let's try, as far as, what's that thing called? He's doing weights, but as far as AD,
That would be Lynn.
Wednesday.
Wednesday,
Yeah.
okay.
I scheduled her
I'm
as
here too well, I
an
guess.
AD period,
Okay,
her class schedule for that.
okay. 8.5 substitute listing.
Recommend as presented.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor? Donation from Lane Scott.
Recommend as presented, $1,000. I believe Danielle and the crisis committee put that together to help us pay for emergency lighting in the bathrooms. So when the electricity goes out, there's lights.
So move. Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor to accept that. And we got 8.7 procurement plan.
Recommended as presented. That is basically you just as a board saying we're going to follow the laws when we buy our food for the cafeteria.
That's something we do every year.
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing, and it's something else I gotta sign, is it? Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor? Is there any other business before we close? To adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor? Next week, for you have. I think that,
You said 30 minutes?
I think so.
Thank you.